Hey everybody, how's it going? Tugboat Out of Alcatraz comes out next Wednesday on the 19th. I'll be at I Like Comics in Vancouver, Washington on the 19th, and then on the following weekend on the 22nd and 23rd, I'll be in the Bay Area I'll be at Cape and Cow Comics, and I'll be at Comics Experience, and I will be at one other shop.
I can pull it up if you don't see it first.
I'm racing you.
All right.
Flying Color Comics. So Vancouver, Washington, Concord, California, San Francisco, California, and Oakland, California. My West Coast tour.
19th, 22nd, and 23rd.
My BlueSky hopefully says, the one I just looked at says Friday, or it says Wednesday rather.
Which is the 19th.
Wednesday, 3/19.
Yeah, and then the Saturday the 22nd, and then Sunday the 23rd.
Yes. Saturday the 22nd, I'll be in Concord and in San Francisco at Flying Color Comics and Comics Experience, respectively. And then Sunday at Cape and Cow in Oakland.
Yeah, no Seattle today, or this month. Sorry, Emma. Anyway, hi everybody.
Hi everybody.
What's cool?
I got this. This is the ash can for Out of Alcatraz that Oni Press was handing out at Comics Experience, or Comics Pro. This is the Comics Pro Rough Cut Edition. And it's the whole comic with a different cover and different inside front cover. But man, it came out good. I really like the paper that Oni uses. It's like not too glossy. It'd be nice if it was a little bit more matte, but this is actually great. But it's like not too glossy, and it's not too thin, and it's also not too thick. I feel good about how this turned out.
Carrie is reminding people that you will be on Splash Pages on the 25th of this month.
I will. You can find Splash Pages here on YouTube. Aw. Tell your disappointed friends I'm sorry. I was actually just talking to someone today about it and how I haven't given up hope on that book, but we'll see. Hey, Mark. I don't know if I said hi to everybody. Hey, Mark. Hi, Carrie. Hey, Emma.
And Seth.
Hey, Keith.
Tugboat.
Yes, and hello, Seth.
And Mark. That's all we got for now. Except for all the anonymous folks not in the chat. Hello, everybody.
So what's fun about this cover, though, is that you can see... dang, I don't have like a good way to show the final cover. But the final cover that we used is sort of set up to look more like an old movie poster. And so I painted this separately and then composited it all in Photoshop. So, but this is a way that you can actually see the whole cover illustration.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, please give the this episode a thumbs up. The stream a thumbs up if you like it, or when you like it.
I'm jealous you got to see Marie. She's awesome. And I have not seen her since before pandemic times. It would be fun.
You're wearing one of her jackets right now.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm wearing one of her little devil guys. I think that's showing it. Can't tell.
I have to wait. There it is. It did show. It showed perfect. Good work.
Band on the run. So after last week, oh, you know what? I guess I got a little bit more to show because this just came in the mail. I just got this from the post office like an hour ago. But I got this James Gurney book that he made with Thomas Kincaid, of all people. But this is a book that they put together back in the 80s about sketching on location. And like something they don't tell you is that James Gurney was like a total hottie when he was in his 20s. That's stuff the media doesn't want you to know. But this is fun, and I ordered it from his website, so I got it signed. Very exciting. So I have barely been able to flip through this already. We'll see what it has for me.
If you haven't gone to James Gurney's YouTube channel, he does so much amazing painting out in the wild.
Yeah, a lot of plein air stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He slowed way down on his video productions, but the library that he has up on YouTube is incredible.
It's extensive, yeah.
Yeah. And then I also got this, which James Gurney wrote the introduction to a book on oil painting and drawing. And this is one of those where this guy writes about oil painting, but it's like, 80% text. So we'll see how well I do with getting through this one. It can be challenging sometimes to get through books like this. Yeah, The Practice of Oil Painting and Drawing by Solomon J. Solomon. Great name.
Solomon.
Solomon J. Solomon. And it came with a little postcard signed by James Gurney, which is cool.
That'd be like if your name was Crook.
Yep. Double Crook.
Or Tyler. Which it could have been.
Solomon. That's like a nice little O.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every other letter is a O. That is a cool name.
That's right, Emma, that you were looking for it. Like, I think, I had never heard of it until James Gurney, I think, talked about it on one of his YouTube things. But I think it's a well-regarded book about oil painting.
Tugboat.
Tyler's art book coming out. Guide to cool down, splatter like a pro. Man, I do not know how to do an instructional book. Okay, so last week we did the sort of critique and reimagining from this Charlton Bullseye book. And then people were asking about my if there's anything I wish that I could redo or that I didn't like. And I was like, not really.
Or that you could just improve on
or
now.
that I can improve on. Yeah.
Now, knowing what you know now.
So I thought I would maybe look at Petrograd and see if there was stuff. I didn't think about this too hard before we got started, so we'll see how it goes.
That cover is beautiful.
Thank you. Let me grab the original cover.
Hey, Emma, how did Emerald City go?
Oh, yeah.
Emerald City Comic Con. Sounds like you got to talk to a lot of people, which is always nice at conventions.
Here's the original hardcover cover, which I still a door. I think that turned out so nice. The only bummer about this cover is that I wanted their faces to be cut right down the middle, so we would have exactly half a face. And for some reason, they could not convince
the
the
printer.
book printer to do it like that. And I remember there was like some back and forth about it, but I can't remember exactly why. Like I don't remember if it was that the cloth spine was too big, like they couldn't get it that big, or what. But like my idea was that the cloth spine would go exactly halfway across the thing.
Hi, Shell.
Still think that looks really good. I'm so proud of that. I feel like I need to get more into my help like working on the book design for my books. Like I was really involved in this one, and I think it's one of the prettiest books I've ever done. But a lot of the other books I've done since, like I've been so frazzled, I sort of just trust everybody involved to do a good job.
Time.
And they usually, almost everyone I've worked with has been great.
They're paid professionals. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, this book was designed by Keith Wood.
I was about to say
Keith is great.
Speaking of professionals that know what they're doing, Keith Wood knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he also designed the Harrow County logo and did all the book design for Harrow County. Well, he did most of the book design. Some of the more recent stuff has been in-house Dark Horse stuff. And this book was lettered by Douglas Sherwood, R.I.P.
Oh.
Yeah, he died about a year ago. So I think that it starts off pretty good. Like this opening panel is pretty great. Could have stood to have a little bit more interest, like down in here, because it's kind of like here's a little thing of interest, and then there's the building in the background, and that's kind of it. And it feels like I could have built this out a lot more with a lot more specific detail. But if I was going to re-thumbnail this page, it would probably look exactly like this. Still, more smoke.
More smoke, more detail.
Yeah.
So not quite exactly the same.
This one is interesting. So we have a double page spread, and this double page spread I think is actually pretty good. There's a few like bodies in the muck over here, and I think it could have stood to have more bodies more clearly expressed here. But I do like that we've sort of gone down into a little valley, and you can see the little mortars or whatever they are landing over there. Conk, conk, conk. One thing I would do different though is I don't know, like the thing about this double page spread is that you could read it two different ways, and they both kind of work. Like you could go this first panel, then you could go here, then you could go here, then you could go here, and then you could go here. And that works. Or you could read this first panel, and then you could go here, 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 and that still works. But I think it would have been better to do like a splash page with this panel, and like I don't know what, do these like broken trees. Can you see any of this? Do you like these busted up trees and the little fence line, and then have our dead bodies down here, and we have more of them, and then do kind of another hill, maybe some more fences, just filling up the space vertically more. And we have our
Not
little...
along that fence, not draped over the fence, not closer to the foreground body.
Oh, no, that's a good idea, actually, like having a dead body sort of like right up in your face is actually a great idea. Then we would have our little conks. That's showing up? Yeah, that looks okay on the camera.
That's a little hard to see, but I'm not sure how you can make it better, because any darker, I think it just makes the paper darker too.
So if I did this though, then it would free me up to put these other 4 panels on this other page.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
So now I could take these.
So then the reading order would be more clear.
Yeah, so there'd be like one way to read it, basically.
And you got the splash page, that's the establishing shot.
Yeah, like the only bummer with doing it like that is the way it would relate to this first page would be like 2 kind of redundant splashes.
Oh.
But you could do that. You could, if I changed up this first splash so it was more spare. Like if the first splash
pulled further back.
Yeah, like if I think what I would do is, so here would be my page 1. I think I would do like push the whole composition way down to the bottom.
Hi, video. Hi, Rudak.
Hey, Rudak Video, what's up? Oh, dang. I'm glad you liked Lonely Hunters.
Lonesome Hunters?
Lonesome Hunters. Forgot the name of my own book. So I think with this splash, I would come all the way down here, do a few more smokes, like I said, but have it be like
smokes.
very minimal, and then put like prologue, more like dead center. And then put the caption dead center too, so it's like 1916. And make this work more like a title page than like a splash page, I think. And then when you flip the page and you get the splash, it would feel less redundant. Okay, so then we get these. It's hard to hold the book up here at the same time.
Can you zoom out just a teensy?
Oh, but yeah. Okay, so here I would like reverse the panel, these, like, I like this for the first panel where the guys are sort of in motion. Like that feels like they're carrying you into the scene. But I do like this panel a lot. I think being so close to this dude's elbow and then going past it sort of makes you really feel like you're in. Like you're in the shit, man. And then I would move on to this one. And I think I would, the difference I would make for this panel is I would make one of these dudes more, like much closer to the camera, just to give it a little bit more interest with the depth. Okay, now we get so funny. I would totally redo like everything if I could. Now we get here, and it's like we have these two confusing panels, and I don't know what to do with them because like the idea I think was that you're sort of like floating over the battlefield and you come to this trench and you can see the guys in the trench. So you're coming down over the top and we can start to make them out. But it's just confusing, you know? It just doesn't like I think I would reverse angles on this so that we have the barbed wire, and then we have like the other side of the ditch, and then I think I would actually just show the guys' faces like they're leaning against the opposite wall. So here, like, that's hard to see, but like you just see like a guy's foot and the top of a hat, and it doesn't make sense. So I would just reverse it. And then the second panel would just be closer up.
Hi, Alex. Alex says that they are getting George Pratt vibes from these pages because the tonal washes and the war thing.
Yeah. I'm positive that I was looking at some George Pratt stuff when I was working on this, because he's done so much like World War I stuff and trench warfare stuff that it's absolutely impossible that I didn't like take inspiration from that guy. Oh, yeah, Mark is running a book club on Cullen Bunn's Discord that kicks off this weekend. That's for the Sixth Gun, right? Yeah, all of Sixth Gun.
And Shadow
awesome.
Roads.
I peek in on that on Cullen's Discord occasionally, but I'm just not a big Discord user, so I miss a lot of stuff. But if you're into Discord, that sounds like it would be really fun. So I think that's how I would redo
the first 3 pages.
First even. 3 pages.
I think this is further than you got last week.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did 3 pages, 3 or 4 pages last week.
But not within 23 minutes.
Yeah.
Of starting.
All right. So this page is all right. Although compositionally, like, I don't think I knew like I definitely wasn't planning my my balloons very well, if I was planning them at all when I was doing this. Like, it just feels like the second panel in particular, it feels like I intended for there to be a balloon over here, but there's just not one, so it just feels strangely empty. And not like there's ways that I like to move things around, like towards one side or one corner, that feel dynamic, but here it just feels empty. And then I had this thing where I wanted to keep track of like everybody. So like I couldn't have this guy without showing this little bit of a hat to show that that guy was still there. But that's silly because you would know that. Although there are some of these that are great, like this second panel where the middle guy is like just barely peeking above the panel border. Can I?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of balloons in that panel.
I'll never get it. Yeah, you mean on? Oh, and this. Yeah, there's a lot of balloons. There's a lot of panels on this page. We go from 4 panels to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, this would have been better served if I had moved one of these over here and made this a 5-panel page. So this one could be a 6-panel page. But I mean, for a 7-panel page, I think this works. This one actually works pretty well. There wouldn't be much that I changed here, although I think I would zoom in on this panel so there wasn't so much dead space. Or I would have like, yeah, no, I would zoom in because the thing on the other side of him is this other guy, and drawing that other guy and then putting a balloon over him is silly.
Oh, I've never thought of that. That if you have another person or some something distracting on the other side, that if you zoom in, you don't have to draw it and distract from the word balloon.
Yeah, you can just put the thing you want to look at in the space. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to redraw some thumbnails for these because they're okay. They're just a little bit like I don't know where the balloons are going to be, and yeah, and I could have gone a little bit closer in some panels, a little bit further back in others. But I do like the acting on these. Like the acting, I think, is pretty okay.
BWS Monster has some expert dialogue balloon usage, says Rudak. There's a good YouTube video by a letterer breaking it down.
Man, I have opinions about that. I kind of hate his lettering in that book. Like I think that it's readable, and I think his lettering is beautiful. But like there's so many there's like the way that he will do like a balloon where the tail is pointing to someone in another panel is like that just like
confuses you.
No, it actually he's really good at it. So it's readable, but it just makes me feel like fingernails on a chalkboard. It's like, why did you do it like this? You could have just made it normal.
Oh no. When you said you hate it, I went sorry, Rudak.
No, it's like it is like really clever, and it is like he uses his balloons in a way that is like sort of unconventional and definitely very interesting. But I like things like my balloons and my panel layouts to not be a thing that's interesting. I like them to just feel so natural that like you don't even notice them. Well, that's not entirely true. Like I like my balloons to have style and like fit with the work in a way that is like additive and not like invisible, but like I just don't ever want my balloons to be like something you have to decode. Yeah, to make the panels exist in the same moment. Oh, was that strip panel naked? Is that the YouTube thing where they were talking about that? Actually, I have Monster by Barry. We're talking about Monster by Barry Windsor Smith, by the way. I don't know if we said that out loud.
Oh. That's what BWS
But it's a beautiful book, but one that I don't think I finished reading. Yeah, if that's the show, I don't think Hassan has done a new one for a while, but that was a really, really good YouTube channel. Although Strip Panel Naked is kind of an unfortunate name. Sorry, Haas. Okay, this is like, so this is something, God, it's like so hard to show this book on the camera. So this panel is one that I don't think I would do today. These top-down panels, I did a lot of them in Petrograd, and these top-down panels are just generally kind of confusing.
But the idea was that we were looking down into a...
We're looking down in the trench.
Into a trench.
But it sort of doesn't make any sense because we're down in the trench with these guys already. It's like getting out for a moment and then climbing back in sort of feels unusual to me. I think I was doing it because there's this thing where this guy is holding a can of beans or a can of mystery food. And then this guy grabs it out of his hand. And I think I was just having a hard time figuring out how to stage that action so it made sense. Let me see if I can stage it so it makes sense. Don't know if I can. I don't know if I can improve on this. I don't like it, but I don't know if I can improve on it.
Can you zoom back out a little bit while you do that?
I think I can still get these both on the thing. So if I had a panel about this size, oh man, it's like so easy actually.
You've thought of one? You've already thought of a solution?
I think so. Like I think I would just like the only problem with my first, well, let me do my first solution. We can see if we can come up with a different one. So I'd have this guy, and he'd be reaching across and grabbing the beans from this guy. That's where I think this is why it gave me a problem and why I went with that the overhead camera thing is like they're having to reach across this guy in the middle. But I think there's room to do a thing where he's like
ducks out of the way?
Yeah, where he's like ducking out of the way, and it kind of gives you a funny little moment where he's reacting to these two guys, these two older guys being weirdos. And the advantage of this layout too is that this guy speaks first, like the panel order would make more sense because then I could have a balloon here and a balloon here instead of having this balloon with the tail that is trying to reach all the way across the panel to this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's kind of a better solution. Now the only bummer with that is it's kind of a repeat of the panel just before it. So I think with that I would probably go in tighter on just these two characters because this guy isn't speaking here. So we'd have like this little panel and then or balloon and a bigger balloon. So you can have this guy looking out over the edge with his little can of beans in his hand.
Can of beans.
And then have this guy down here. And then I would also, to make this a little bit more clear, I would do my favorite kind of sound effect, which is a little sound effect that just says like grab. I love those. This could actually be a little bit tighter, I think, potentially, but I think that's okay.
Talk about asks. What about a close-up of just the middle guy with the other people's hands grabbing the.
Oh, that's a pretty fun. Yeah, I like that.
It would be a
Actually,
lot like that last panel
so
though,
it
with
would
the
be
close up
like
on the one guy.
it would come in here like this. And then really focus on the grab.
Being careful of tangents.
Yeah, I think with a little bit of work, that actually would be a better solution than the one up top. So the only problem with that
Oh,
is
where are balloons gonna go?
like these guys. Yeah, exactly. These guys, I like kind of like their heads being cut off and just focusing on their arms. So the only face in the panel is middle guy. We could put the balloons down here, which I've said a million times is not my favorite thing, but this is a situation where it would actually like make sense to do it like that. I think that's good. I like that. All right, then we cut here, and this was like Petrograd is like all these people sitting around talking, which is not always the easiest thing to make interesting. There we go. But I do like this panel's pretty good. This panel's pretty fun. Although like I have a speaking order problem. Whenever there's 3 people, keeping the speaking order of the balloons like under control is always really hard. I don't feel like anything doesn't make sense, but there's like this balloon where this guy speaks first and then this guy, so I have to stack their balloons and put this one sort of artificially to the right. And I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I mean it works. It's fine. This is a reasonably good establishing shot. Although like all the other people are pretty far away. Although it makes sense for the scene because these guys are talking about spy shit. So like
They want a
wouldn't
more
want to be
private
sitting
table.
right. Yeah, they'd want to be kind of private. I think this stuff's okay. Here's where I should have found a way to pull back on this because there's just too many like heads and shoulders and that's it. This one panel I go in and I show some hands, which is pretty good, and they're pretty good draw hands. I like them.
So
But I definitely could have pulled all the way back for some of these and shown all 3 men at the table.
shown some knees and toes, not just
yeah,
head and shoulders.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, there's that old. I don't know who first started saying it or giving it as a tip, but there's people who say you should always have feet on a page, like at least one panel where you could see someone's feet. And it's not the point isn't that you should be able to see their feet, or even the point isn't even that you should see their whole body. The point is that if you're not careful, you will do all of these medium and tight shots. They just come so naturally and easily. And so if you're not careful, you'll get stuck there, like I did with this scene. And like this could have been way more interesting, I think, if I had zoomed back a little bit. I don't know exactly where. I feel like maybe this panel, especially because he says, "The fate of the world hangs on many hooks, Reginald." And I always like on on lines like that where he says the fate of the world, where he's talking about the world, it's like zoom back and show that they're in the world, you know?
Good point.
Like, why not?
They're asking about books that show different artists working on the same script.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that.
From Tomorrow's, I think I can grab them here. Think.
Okay, now we
Working
get
methods?
to chat. Now we get to talk about Tyler behind his back. He's not at the drafting table anymore.
Oh, there's another one, but where is it?
Okay, delete the chat. Delete the chat. Don't let him see what you said about him.
Okay, this is the one that I've talked about a bunch, where this working methods, and they take a script and then they have different artists draw it. So like this one drawn by Scott Hampton. Let's see here.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. So he does, from the script, he comes up with this page. And then the next artist, who's the next guy? Tim Levin. This is his take on that exact same page. And it's just like...
So different.
So different. And there's like... and they also write a whole thing where they explain like what their approach was and why they made the choices they did and stuff. And I think this book is out of print now, but you can get a digital version of it from the Tomorrow's website. Great book. In fact, I wish they would do a series. Like I feel like you could do a book where like every month you just have 3 artists do a 3 or 4 page story, and they all do the same story though. I think that would be something I would subscribe to. Anyway, good book. You guys talking about those baby Tibbs pictures? She was so cute. She's one of the few cats I've ever actually that we've had that I knew her as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
She looked like a chipmunk with a cat head on it.
And we were all, this is not our cat. We cannot get attached.
Yeah.
As cute as all these kittens are, we cannot get attached. And then she just waltzed into our house multiple times until we caved in.
So this scene, actually, I'm pretty proud of. The only thing about it is, I don't know exactly how well these 3 panels read. Because the idea is supposed to be that we're seeing a long passage of time. And we tried to show that through the shadow. You can see the shadow of the Tsarina and her little tea set, like, gets longer and gets really long. But it feels a little subtle. But it's okay. Works out okay. I'm not entirely sure that how clear it is that you're looking in through a window here. Like, I think if I was going to redo this, I would find an angle to show this from inside the room. Like, I might actually repeat an angle similar to this, where we could get a sense of the whole room. I like this guy's expression, though. That's a good face. It's one of those characters that shows up one time, and I had to put a lot of thought into them.
Keith, maybe getting a new black cat.
Ooh.
The rescue is coming by to do an introduction and walkthrough. So,
congratulations.
yeah.
I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
Getting a cat is getting pets is like such a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mark says that he thinks you're talking about the shadow moment.
I think he is, yeah.
Works, which isn't entirely bad since the story is essentially taking a moment too. Yeah, I can see that. I think with a little bit like, I think if I had made the shadows darker, like I could have made the shadows like almost pure black, and it would have been a little bit easier to read that, I think. I also could have stood to do a little bit of rug texture on these rugs in here. Like I did a little bit, it's pretty light, but I did a little bit of like rug pattern on here.
It might have made it harder to see the shadow though.
I think if I had made the shadow black and then put some detail in the rug, because one of the things about the rugs is it's just like these shapes, and it doesn't necessarily read like you can decode that it's a rug, but it's not like super obvious. I do like this panel where we can see Rasputin itty bitty in the background. That's pretty nice.
Itty bitty Rasputin.
Itty bitty Rasputin.
Tugboat. Yeah. We are not sure if Tibbs still likes pine cones. We should bring one in.
Yeah, we should bring one in and see it. I bet she would go bonkers for one.
Yeah. Maybe our cheapest toy.
Some of her siblings are still in the neighborhood, and they'll come into the yard occasionally, and I'll throw pine cones for them, and they still go for it.
They go for it, yeah.
This is a pretty good panel, and I think it especially works good with the watercolor clouds. When I started this book, we did not know how it was going to be toned. In fact, I think we had originally planned on it being a black and white book. And so I was thinking that I would do tones as like a digital screen tone. And then at the very end, I did a bunch of tests, and I came away with a way to do like a watercolor wash.
Yeah, will you talk about that process? It's not one that you've ever done since, and it was kind of necessity and experimenting at the time.
Yeah, it was pretty great, actually. So I printed out my inks as a blue line. So like instead of black, the inks were like a very light blue. And then using black watercolor, I went over it and I did all of these tones as a gray tone. And then I scanned them back into the computer and lined up my tones that I had done with the photos, or with the original inks rather. I lined up the tones with the inks, and then I made the tones be this red color.
I helped you with that process.
Yeah, you helped a lot.
It was so involved.
It was really involved, but it was also like remarkably fast. Like I was doing, I was toning, I think between 10 and 12 pages a night.
Oh yeah.
So I'd come home from my full-time job and then do 10 or 12 pages. And it was just like bam, 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 bam. Really, really fast.
That part was the fast part, but I think lining everything up.
Lining everything up was weird because there was slow. Like when you print it, sometimes it would stretch or compress a little bit. And then when you scanned it, sometimes it would stretch or compress a little bit. And in fact, I found a thing for a number of reasons, I ended up using the auto feed on the scanner because I printed them out at print resolution to do the tones, and then so the scans that I did were actually quite small, so I could fit them through the 8.5 by 11 document feeder to scan them, and that did stretch things and compress things a little bit more than if they were sitting like on the scanner bed. So it was like, yeah, getting them lined up was sometimes kind of rough, but at the same time, the colors related to the inks in such a loose way that it didn't really matter. Like,
That's a good point.
it didn't really have to line up.
We probably were too careful.
Yeah.
Hi, Bovie.
Hey, Bovie. Glad you can make it in today.
Yeah, Tyler's taking a look at Petrograd and looking at the panels to see if he would do anything different, knowing what he knows now.
Mm-hmm. This is pretty good. I'm okay with this page. The only thing that really needs fixing on this page is the perspective in this top panel. Like nowadays, when I do all my penciling in Clip Studio, I can throw down like a 2 or 3 point perspective, and it just goes like that. It's so easy to set up and use. But here it was like, this really looks like I just eyeballed all the perspective on this panel, and it looks just wonky. It has I guess the good thing about this is that it makes it feel a little bit like a German expressionist movie, where like the background walls are all a little bit skewed and strange feeling. Not that German expressionism has a lot to do with this, except that it was sort of like period appropriate.
Carrie noticed that Cleary has satin sheets on that bed.
He does. Beautiful, fancy satin sheets. Yeah, here's one. Like, I might redo this one. Like, this panel, it's just not quite clear. Like, I think what I would have done, what I would do differently today is, I don't know if I can get the panel on here and redraw it at the same time.
Yeah, Mark, he will not be redrawing his past work. It's done.
Yeah. So I think I would do a wide shot.
Just a fun mindfulness exercise, I guess.
Yeah, no, this is just
really being thoughtful about what you've learned.
Yeah, it's because the conversations last week where people asked me what I would redo if I could. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't redo anything. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, no. If it wasn't like a pathway to madness, I would redraw some of this stuff. But fortunately, it is a pathway to madness. So
and not a great use of your time.
Yeah.
It's done. It's beautiful. It does its job.
So I think I would do a panel like that. I don't know if that doesn't make sense on the screen. It's still pretty small. So I think I would take that opportunity to, instead of doing this shot that's just a little bit confusing, I would go with something a little simpler and show Cleary, have a chance to show the room a little bit more clearly.
Wait, can you show that original panel again?
Yeah, the original panel. So this is another one of those top-down views that I was complaining about earlier. It's like they just tend to be a little bit confusing.
That one. Oh, I see. In the original one, you can't really see where he's grabbing that box from, but in your new drawing one, you can see more of the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see what his relationship is to, like, he's putting it on top of his, what do you call that? His little closet thing. His thing.
Hutch or something. Wardrobe.
That would be awesome, Bovie, if I could go back in time.
We're going to hop into a DeLorean and go talk to younger Tyler.
I recently bought the original version of the Castafiore Emerald as it appeared in the Tintin magazine. It's fascinating because both versions are 62 pages long, no extended or truncated scenes. The differences are subtle, changing colors, moving speech balloons, breaking one panel into two. Yeah, that's like the thing I think that's the same for me. Like if I could redo things, like that's the kind of stuff I would redo, is like taking little tiny things and making them flow a little bit better. One thing, I was flipping through this a little bit just before we started, and I think that I think I definitely got better. Like I've said in the past that like working on this book was like going to comic book school because I learned so much in doing it. And there's stuff like, I guess, spoiler alert, I'm going to show kind of the end of the book too, so there you go. But there's some stuff in the back here that I think is actually really good. Like I love this action scene where Clary bonks the dude in the face, grabs the door, jumps. And like I am very happy with sort of the composition of these panels. I think the use of the snow to make everything very white and simplify the scene actually helps a lot in this case. And even this one where the guy, like there's a lot of sort of dead space here, but for some reason in this panel it feels right to me, like because he's shouting into the nothingness. I think that's great. And then this page is one of my favorite pages. I like the composition of this panel a lot, where there's a bunch of ice down at the bottom here. I don't know why that works so well for me, but like with the sound effect up top and him falling into the ice, it just sort of feels really good. And then this page is great. Somebody asked brands of watercolor and ink. So for this one, this was a long time ago, so I've changed my working methods quite a bit. But I used Super Black, is I think the name of the ink that I used for this. And I did eventually stop using it because it's just too glossy. When you scan, you end up getting a lot of little pinholes of shines from the scanner light. So nowadays I use FW ink, this brand of acrylic ink. It's my fave. And the watercolor I used on this was probably Winsor & Newton. Like I said, I originally did the tones in black watercolor and then turned them to this reddish brown color.
Digitally.
So I was probably using ivory black Winsor & Newton for this. Nowadays, though, my favorite watercolor is M. Graham and Company, which I like their stuff a lot.
Keith, we did talk about the Harrow County softcover compendium, the complete Harrow County compendium. And Tyler, if you go back to last week's episode, Tyler showed the cover even. And that book comes out in October, the 28th and 29th of this year.
Yeah. Did you have full control over coloring if you wanted to keep it as a wash or for full color? Yes. I mean, I definitely did it in, like I had to talk to my editors and stuff because we printed this as a 2-color thing, so it's not like a 4-color like CMYK print job. It's black with this reddish brown spot color. So we had to do the work to figure, choose the Pantone color and all that kind of stuff. And so it's definitely something that they let me, like I was leading the charge on it, but I had to do it in conjunction with everybody because it affected
printing
and cost and all that kind of stuff. Emma says, as time has gone on, I'm focusing less on trying to make my comic into issues and to focus on it as a book and let things have some breathing room. Yeah, that's hard. Like, especially like the way I make comics, because so many of my comics have to be 22 pages. Like, exactly.
because you are focusing them on them being floppies.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's contracts and there's page rates and stuff involved. In fact, that's one of the things, as I slowly pick away at Lonesome Hunters, thinking about doing it on my own is actually really fun because I can stop having the artificial 22-page chapter breaks and I can just sort of do whatever I want and then figure it out later.
So you and Emma can commiserate in an awesome way, whatever the good kind of commiserating is. You can brag to each other.
Yeah, I haven't read all of Nameless City, but any book that can like really build to a satisfying character thing is, I think, a good book.
Hi, Adam. Adam asks, could we maybe look over your B.P.R.D issues sometime?
Oh.
Like this?
Yeah. Maybe we could do that next week. I would
3 of these kinds of episodes in a row?
Maybe.
What?
One thing I would say is this panel should be flipped. He should be going to the right.
Because that points us to the...
let me think about this. So he's running and running and running, and he's always going to the right. And I keep that pretty consistent where he's like just keeping to the right. And it does make sense to reverse angle for him like coming out of the water. But I think just feel like it would read better to go the other way.
It is pointing towards the panel, the
next
panel sort of you want
take you down to the next panel.
Read.
Yeah. This panel's a little bit awkward, but it's okay.
I like that last panel.
Yeah, last panel I like too. And then some of these are like, I feel really good about too. And this is like the kind of thing I talked about last week a little bit, where I stopped letting the my panels bleed into the page gutters. And it's because when you come up to the spread and look at it, it's just chaotic and it doesn't feel organized. But if you give that gap, for one thing, it makes stuff like this sound effect that just says aw when it's supposed to say paw.
Oh.
But it gets lost in the gutter, but I could have planned for that better. And I chose paw as the sound effect for guns very intentionally because that's a sound effect I've seen in a lot of European comics, and I thought it made this book about World War I in Europe and however much you want to consider Russia part of Europe, like it felt very like it just felt like not American. If that said POW, I think it would feel too American.
Hi, Robberon.
John Allison pays out of his own pocket for the extra pages. Now, I have definitely done that. Well, I haven't paid out of pocket, but I have definitely, like, when we were doing Harrow County, especially because it's a creator-owned book, I would, like, if I added pages, it would be like I was doing those pages for free. At least in comparison to my page rate, like my page rate. I wouldn't get a page rate for those extra pages that I added. But sometimes I think that's best. In fact, I'm finishing Out of Alcatraz right now, and I just added 2 pages under the same thing where I was like, it just needs these. I don't care about the contract. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Nobody worries.
Hey, Comic Tropes.
Hey, Comic Tropes. Oh, I'm glad you're psyched for Out of Alcatraz.
Which comes out next week.
March 19th, 2025. I think it's going to be good. The reaction to Out of Alcatraz has been really great. Like, I feel like Oni is doing a great job of sort of getting the word out and getting people, getting eyeballs on it in a way that will hopefully result in people picking it up. It's good. Working with Chris Cantwell has been a dream.
The snow on these pages we did similar to the washes.
I did. That's a good, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So the snow on these pages, like Ma was just saying, I did pages of splatter and then composited it in Photoshop. So what is white snowdrops here were actually black ink splatters originally. And then I scanned them.
The first Tyler ink splatters.
Yeah, my first professional ink splatters. These there's so many little things like that in this book that like just worked out really well, and I'm amazed that they did. Like the tones and that ink splatter. There's some sound effects that I did separately that worked really well. Where are they at? Oh man, I'll never find them. 250 pages.
In 2 years? Is that how long?
2.5 years?
2.5 years, yeah.
Man, where are those sound effects? I was just looking at them before the stream. Ah, these are the ones that yeah. These white ones I added later, and I think they turned out really great. These are ones that I did in ink. They were just black, and then I scanned them in and used them to mask off the backgrounds, like this coom, crunch. These thumbs particularly, I think, are pretty. And then I don't know if anybody picks this up, but this character here is supposed to be this character from the beginning of the book. Sort of this young kid that's in the middle. It's supposed to be him. And then this is Phil Gillette, the writer. Just threw him in here because we needed a guy.
Needed a bearded guy.
I think this might supposed to be me. This little bearded guy with glasses was supposed to be me.
That does look like you.
Yeah, and like these, I think by the end I was definitely a better storyteller. It's not like a huge improvement, but it is like, I don't know. It's one of those things like I feel like the last 10% like is like takes half the energy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I definitely made the improvements.
Emma says that picture, that drawing of you was not you. It's a lie because you don't have a hat.
Yep. Back then, I didn't need one. I had that luxurious mane of hair. Tyler would like to thank his wife, Maat, for being the best wife in the world and helping with scanning and setting up the digital files.
Aw. I don't think...
Oh, shit. Ryan Benjamin for hooking him up with a big old scanner. I forgot that Ryan sold me his old scanner. Ryan Benjamin is a DC artist, or he does a lot. I think he almost exclusively works with DC.
Oh, really?
He's done a lot of Batman stuff in the past.
But was he back then?
He was... I don't remember what he was working on. The whole time I knew him, he worked at Sony. I worked with him at Sony.
That's right.
And he was doing comics as a side thing at that point, I think. Oh, revisiting my first issue of Sixth Gun. That would be interesting. Yeah, look at this baby with his dark beard compared to my gray beard. I swear, like, my beard has gone gray so fast, like in the last...
It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I hope that my hair color turns that white someday.
No, I don't have this t-shirt anymore. I don't know where it went. It was like, well, I mean, it definitely died. This was like, whatever, like this photo was probably taken...
Or 2010, maybe even.
Yeah, it had to have been taken in 2010 or 2009.
Yeah.
So that's pretty old. My website still works, though, mrcrook.com. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go back to no mustache. It's hard. It's hard. Mustaches are super gross, but they look better to me. This sort of looks like I would be like trying to convince you to come see Primus with me or something.
Mark, you said we'll be discussing what on the weekend of April 5th?
Say what?
Oh, the Asher Cobb issue.
Yeah. It's like Lincoln cosplay. It wasn't cosplay, man. It was a way of life. Yeah, anyway, I think that's probably it for tonight.
Robert Ron is putting in a request for reviewing Witchfinder too.
Yeah, that would maybe I should just do like a regular.
Yeah.
Whenever I can't think of anything I want to draw, just do like a review.
Yeah.
Critique of my own work.
Yeah. And other old comics too.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, though, I think that I still feel good about Petrograd. I would definitely, like, if I did it today, it would definitely look way better, I think. Um,
Well, if
but the
you had done it the day after you'd finished doing
yeah,
all
it would
this,
be
it still would
different.
have looked better.
But it's like it holds up. I think the vibe is right. Feels good. I've gotten better with noses. I had a real problem back in there
I
with
wouldn't
like
call it a
kind of
problem.
biggish noses.
It was a style
Kind of a
that you did.
style, but it
That
wasn't
and red
like this
noses.
big nose. I
I
don't know if it
liked it.
even really reads on that.
Next week redo Alcatraz #1.
Oh my god. But out of Alcatraz comes out next Wednesday. Where'd that book go? It kind of looks like this. It doesn't really. Go pick it up. I hope you guys like it. I didn't know when I started this how much I was going to enjoy doing a crime comic. But man, I really like doing a crime comic. Loved working with Chris Cantwell. Loved the period, the setting. Loved and hated the characters appropriately. Tales of the Silver Lantern Club. Man, I'm so behind on my Mignolaverse stuff. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Also, since we're talking about comics, the complete Harrow County compendium, softcover of all the Harrow counties. I imagine not the tales, though, right?
No, it's actually everything. It's the same
It
as
is
the
everything.
complete edition, the slipcover edition. It's
And
just
that's
soft
not
cover.
missing any
Nope.
tales?
Oh, as far as I know, that has everything in it.
The tales from
Yeah.
Harrow. Okay. So those are available for pre-order.
And yeah, comic strips. I did actually get arrested and put in prison for a couple years and then escaped so that I would know how to tell this story correctly.
I shook my head at that.
All right, everybody. I'm going to call it quits. I think we're going to go watch Twin Peaks now.
Yeah. So Tyler always says, tell the people you love how much you love them. You want to say it?
Tell the people you love that you love them.
And also call up your reps and tell them about how much you love the people in your life and strangers in your life and people in other states.
Yep, that is a good call.
And
tell
just
them that you enjoy having a functioning government.
And for everybody to have civil rights.
Yes, we should.
And access to food.
We should all have access to food. We should all have equal protection under the law.
Yes.
We should not go to war with Canada. I know this is very extreme left-wing stuff we're saying, guys. I'm sorry. All right, everybody. Yeah. I'm going to call it quits, though.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you. Oh, next weekend, I'm going to be in, or next Friday, I'm going to be in Oakland, and I don't know what the stream situation is going to be.
Yeah.
I'll post about it on the social media, but it's possible there won't be a stream next weekend, or I'll be streaming from my hotel room.
Which could be fun.
Could be very fun.
You just need to make sure that you have good internet.
Yeah, and
and the energy to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Comic Tropes. Yeah, everyone wish me luck for my air travel. I haven't been on an airplane since 2019, So we'll see how it goes.
And if you go see them, wear your mask.
Yeah.
The cool kids wear masks.
Yeah, we stay cool that way. All right, everybody.
All right,
See you next week. Maybe. Bye.